Hey guys, it's Mel. Welcome to my channel. So you might be wondering why there is an extra video from me this week. Well, I decided the other day that I actually really wanted to do the 12-hour reading challenge, or in this particular case, redo the 12-hour reading challenge. So Faye from Mystery Date with a Book, who if you are not following, you should be. She's fantastic. I will link her channel in the description below and in the eye. A while ago, Faye challenged a few people to see how many pages they could read in a 12-hour period. I wasn't one of those people, but it sounded like a lot of fun, so I decided to give it a go. So my first time around, I read 304 pages. I wasn't really that happy with that particular number. I really felt like I could have read quite a bit more than that. So that is what I'm going to do. Now, here's the thing. It's Thursday afternoon, but I'm not actually going to be doing the challenge today. I'm going to be doing the challenge tomorrow on Friday. But I'm pre-filming this little intro because here is the plan for tomorrow. I'm going to start reading probably at about 6:30 in the morning. Why am I doing that, you might ask? It's a little bit insane. Well, the reason is because I actually have something at 7:30 in the evening, so I thought that that seemed like an appropriate time to stop. And I also have a online counselling session from 9:30 to 10:30 in the morning. So I thought that that could be an hour that I take out, which means that if I stop at 7:30, I have to start at 7:30, but if I take that hour out, then I have to start at 6:30. And I don't think I'm going to want to film anything at 6:30 in the morning. I'm probably not even realistically going to want to get out of bed. So I reckon I'll start reading in bed and then I'll move into the lounge room. So I obviously will film at various points throughout the day tomorrow, but I won't start filming first thing in the morning, which is why I'm doing this little intro now. I chose to do this on Friday instead of today on Thursday because Friday seemed like a good day. I don't actually have to cook on Friday. We do regularly have our Friday evening pizza. We'll be ordering that in, which means that I can basically read all day without feeling like I have to stop and cook dinner or anything like that. I've done a fair few chores this morning. I thought that I would upload this one on Sunday. So it's quite a bit of time traveling you guys are doing because it's Thursday, but I'm going to be doing the challenge tomorrow on Friday. So the next time that I talk to you will be sometime in the middle of the morning on Friday, but then of course you won't really see it until Sunday. Anyway, I have got a coffee here, so I'm just going to have a little sip of that and then I will show you the books I'm planning on reading. Alright, so as most of you know, I have been doing the Mental Health Readathon, and that has been running for the entirety of the month of May. So I've got 3 days left of that Mental Health Athon, and I have got 2 books that I need to read to finish out all the prompts for Mental Health Athon. So the first of those books is Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. This one meets the young adult challenge for Mental Health Athon, and it is also, I think it's what Victoria Red's prompt for hosts picks a book prompt. So I will be reading that one tomorrow. Because it's young adult, I know that I'll get through it reasonably quickly, and it's also 286 pages long, so that makes it a bit easier as well. But also this is a reread for me, so I know that I really enjoy this book, so therefore I know that I'll get through it relatively quickly. That is the first book that I'm going to read. I am currently reading Starsight by Sanderson, so this is a book that I'm reading with my friend Hayley from Hayley Reads. So again, I'll put her channel in the description below and in the little eye up there. This is the second book in Brandon Sanderson's young adult science fiction duology, and as you can see I have already started it. So Hayley and I decided that we would read 2 chapters a day, so I will need to read 2 chapters tomorrow. That will be, the chapters are roughly 20 pages each, so there'll be about 20 pages for that. And then on my little ebook, I have been reading The Reason I Jump by, I can never say this person's name properly, Naoki Higashida, and this is the book that I am reading also for Mental Health Athon for the Learn Something New prompt and also the non-fiction prompt. And I am currently up to question 15. So the way that it's set out is that it's basically a selection of questions that this particular person who wrote the book gets asked about his autism spectrum disorder. So it's him answering from his perspective the questions that he gets asked. And I'm up to question number 15, which is 51 of 150 of these little pages. So I have got, about 100 pages left. So I'm aware, obviously, that these are significantly smaller than a regular sized book, so probably need to double it, or divide it by 2, I should say, to get the total amount for the purposes of this how many pages can you read in 12 hours challenge. But anyway, so that would be about 50 pages of a conventional book, so that will definitely get me over my 304 pages, which is what I wanted to do. I believe the winner of the challenge at the moment is Kat from Brews and Reviews. Again, I will link her channel in the description below and in the eye, who read something like 950 pages or something like that in 12 hours. I very, very much doubt that I will get anything near her, so I'm planning on hoping to try and beat mostly my own score. I'm going to focus on these 3 books for tomorrow, and then I will see how I go. Whether I pick up another book or not, I will depend obviously on how I'm going with these books. But if I do end up wanting to read more or needing to read more, then I will let you know in the vlog tomorrow as I go along. Yeah, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Good morning. It is 8 o'clock in the morning and my plan completely backfired. So I set my alarm for 6:30. I did wake up at 6:30. I read for about half an hour, but then I fell asleep again for an hour. So that means that I'm still effectively out an hour because of the appointment that I have at 9:30. So I'll probably add that hour at the end of the day. So scheduled to finish at 7:30 when I chat with Alison. I'll finish at 7:30 and then I'll probably add an hour once we have finished chatting. But I'll just see how I'm going. It depends on my page count. And if I've beaten my page count, then I might not worry about it. I'll see. Anyway, so yeah, it's about 8 o'clock in the morning. I've just gotten up. I'm making a coffee and I'm going to get started on Turtles All the Way Down. So I'll check in with you guys in a little bit. Hello again. It is just after 9:15 and I'm just going to go and have a shower and get ready for my counselling appointment, but I just wanted to let you know that I've probably been reading for about an hour realistically once I finish making the coffee, and I've read 40 pages of Turtles All the Way Down. So anyway, talk to you soon. Hello again. So as you can see, I have showered and washed my hair. I just finished the appointment with the counsellor and I'm going to go and make myself a coffee, and I'm going to get some breakfast, and then I'm going to continue reading Turtles All the Way Down, which I'm enjoying my reread of. So yeah, it's about 25 to 11, which means that I have got about 10 hours left if I include the hour, but I'm only going to do that if I think I need to for the page count. Anyway, we shall see how we go. Hey guys, so it is 12:30, which means that I have been reading Turtles All the Way Down for the last 3 hours. If you take out my hour of appointment, up to page 114, so I am about not quite halfway through, as you can see. But yeah, I wanted to talk to you guys about some thoughts that I've been having about the book as I've been reading it. I don't want to give any spoilers away, so I don't really know how to talk about this because it is about what the girl in the book is going through. So I guess I'll try and put the timestamp in when I stop talking about this if you're concerned about the spoilers. But I mean, it is obviously part of the plot, but it's not kind of the main focus of the plot this little specific thing, but she was in having an appointment with her psychologist, and she was describing to the reader, not her psychologist, she was describing the way that she has thoughts that kind of spiral, and that she knows they're not necessarily true, and she knows she shouldn't act on them, but she can't help it, and they won't stop. So it was about something specific that is not something I feel, but I do have very similar thoughts sometimes with my anxiety. It's, I said in my mental health video that I often feel concerned about how people have perceived me or what I'm doing, and I feel that people are upset with me, and I often feel spiral about that. I can't not ask or check. I used to be really bad at that, and I think that used to annoy a lot of people because I would check in with them about whether I'd annoyed them, and the act of checking in with them about whether I had annoyed them was the thing that was annoying them. Which, here's another thing all by itself. But yeah, I kind of sometimes get a thought in my head that becomes its own sort of entity, and there's an action that I can take that will get rid of the thing, but the action isn't necessarily helpful in and of itself, if that makes sense. Oftentimes, the easiest way to get rid of the spiraling thoughts is to talk about them and to get them out of my brain and externalize them, which I did mention in the mental health video. But sometimes I know that isn't the right course of action, because as this girl was expressing in the story, it leads down another rabbit hole. But sometimes I can't help it, and I have to do that thing even though I know that it will lead down a rabbit hole. I don't remember really feeling the same level of similarity between myself and the main character in this book the last time I read it. The only time I've read it until now, but I'm feeling a lot of connection to this character at the moment. I mean, she's a teenage girl and I'm a 40-year-old woman, so obviously not in that sense, but in terms of the way that she feels her anxiety is very similar to the way that I experience my anxiety sometimes. And it's kind of nice to, even though it's obviously a fiction book, it's kind of nice to have that expressed for me. So I'm just going to read the example. So again, if you're concerned about spoilers, then just skip forward. Meanwhile, for some reason, I felt a twinge in my stomach. Probably just nerves from listening to Dr. Singh talk about dosages. But that's how C. diff starts. So this is an illness that she's convinced that she has, even though she doesn't. Your stomach hurts because a few bacteria have managed to take hold in your small intestine, and then your gut ruptures, and 72 hours later you're dead. I needed to reread that case study of the woman who had no symptoms except a stomachache and turned out to have C. diff. Can't get at my phone right now though, she'll get pissed off. But did that woman have some other symptom at least, or am I exactly like her? Another twinge. Did she have a fever? Couldn't remember. Shit. It's happening. You're sweating now. She can tell. Should you tell her? She's a doctor. Maybe you should tell her. My stomach hurts a little, I said. You don't have C. diff, she answered. I nodded and swallowed, and then said in a small voice, I mean, you don't know that. Asa, are you having diarrhea? No. Have you recently taken antibiotics? No. Have you been hospitalized recently? No. You don't have C. diff. I nodded, but she wasn't a gastroenterologist, and anyway, I literally knew more about C. diff than she did. Almost 30% of people who died of C. diff didn't acquire it in a hospital, and over 20% didn't have diarrhea. Dr. Singh returned to the medication conversation, and as I half listened, I started thinking, I might throw up. My stomach really hurt now, like it was twisting in on itself, like the trillions of bacteria within me were making room for a new species in town, the one that would rip me apart from the inside out. The sweat was pouring out of me. If I could just confirm that case study. I feel quite fortunate that my anxiety doesn't express itself by making me worried I have a fatal illness, but that is definitely something I experience, where I have this overwhelming compulsion to do something, to check on something, to lessen the feeling of concern about a thing, except that I know that action is just feeding into the anxiety, and that the anxiety itself is the problem. And sometimes it's a struggle not to do it, and then the struggle not to do it becomes the thing you're anxious about. And yeah, I really am identifying with Asa in this book, which is a little bit confronting, to be honest, but it's still really a great book and I am still really enjoying it. So anyway, I'm going to sit here for a little bit longer and I'm going to read some more of Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. I think I'm probably going to see if I can get to the halfway point in the next half an hour or so, and then I'm going to switch over to Starsight by Brandon Sanderson, partly because I need a little bit of a break from the book I'm currently identifying with a little bit, and go for something that's a little bit more escapism, and also partly because I do need to read the 2 chapters for today, which I'm really enjoying that book, so definitely looking forward to it. And the other thing that I forgot to mention yesterday when I was doing my little prep intro for today was that I also do need to read the 75 pages of The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern for my buddy read, because the reason that I am having to finish up at 7:30 tonight is that I'm chatting with my friend Alison about our first 75 pages. I did actually read the first 12 pages last night, which isn't a lot, so I've got about 60 or so pages to read. But yeah, I really want to get to that today, so I think I'll read Turtles All the Way Down for a little bit just now, a little bit longer, then I'll read some Starsight, and then I might even have a little break and have another cup of coffee, and which will be my 3rd cup today, which I know is quite a lot, but we'll just ignore that. And then I might read my 60 or so pages of this one, and then I can go back to Turtles All the Way Down. Hi, Peanut. Do you want to be in the film? Little Peanut.
Yeah.
Little Peanut. Can you make a photo bomb? Wow. Wow. So hello again. It is 5:15 and I just finished reading Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. I feel like I got more out of this book this time around than the first time I read it. The first time I read it, I really enjoyed it. I really identified with the character situation in the story, as I was saying before. I don't have anything like her level of anxiety and paranoia. Excuse me. Yeah, I don't want to do spoilers, but I have never done anything like what the person in the story does as a result of her anxiety or paranoia, which I feel very blessed for. But I definitely can understand how this person got to the place that she got to. I really like the way that John Green wrapped this book up. So it got to a place in the story where Aza felt that she was able to manage her mental health rather than that she got over something. And that is what I feel a lot of mental health is like. It's not that you get over whatever it is that is happening. You figure out a way to manage it and to live with it, which is obviously what this whole mental health readathon is about, because as Nicole and Simone and Victoria have insisted the whole way through, is that we should say that it's about people who live with a mental health concern rather than who suffer from a mental health concern. And I really think that is an important distinction, because you are not the entirety of your mental health situation any more than you are entirely your physical health situation. And I really like the way that that wrapped up in this book, that she doesn't ever suggest that she'll be free of the mental health issue or mental health situation that she finds herself in, but she figures out a way to manage it, which I think that's really powerful. Like I said earlier, I can see a lot of myself in her character, even though what she goes through is nothing like I personally have been through. I can definitely see how you would get to that point. I can definitely see the spirals. I don't necessarily feel like it's anything as severe as this, but I definitely go down spirals, and I find it really difficult to get out of them. So again, without spoilers, there's quite a lot of stuff in this book that the kind of voice inside her head tries to convince her to do that maybe isn't that healthy for her mental health or her physical health, but that the anxiety has convinced her is the best way forward. And the sort of non-anxious part of her brain knows that that's not the case, but the anxiety part of her brain takes over and doesn't necessarily allow for her to have any other recourse but to do that thing, even though she knows it's not necessarily very healthy. So the particular thing, if you've read the book, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The particular thing that she does, that she feels the need to do, even though what I just said is not something I've ever experienced, but I've definitely been in situations where I know that maybe the recourse that my anxiety is suggesting isn't necessarily the best recourse, or won't necessarily actually end up solving the issue at all, and could potentially make a different issue occur, but I feel like it's the only recourse that I have. I actually feel incredibly blessed that it's never been anything as severe or as full-blown as the person in this story has experienced, and I feel very sorry for people who would experience that, because I think it would be absolutely terrifying. There's also a really great friendship in the story, and the friendship I think is really realistic, because the other friend feels like she loves Aza, but Aza is difficult to be friends with, and that is something that I mentioned in my mental health chat. Is a big thing for me, is that I really struggle with worrying about how people view me and worrying about the kind of friend that I am. And I've always tried to make sure that I am a good friend. I feel like it's true to say that I manage that reasonably well, but I can definitely see how that level of worry and concern and what have you would, and that those levels of spiral, if they were always what was going on in your brain, and if you were very taken over by that thought spiral, then it would be really hard to be anything else. And because of the anxiety that I personally, the way my anxiety presents actually really scares me, to think that potentially I could end up being the way that Aza, or could have ended up being the way that Aza is in this story, and potentially could have alienated friends by worrying about how they perceive me. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's definitely a bit of a eye-opener. I find it interesting as well that this is the second time I've read it, and I don't really recall getting any of that the first time around. Maybe I did and I just didn't necessarily notice it. Maybe I wasn't in the right space to notice it. Maybe I had to have it pointed out to me what mental health, that this was a book about mental health before I would understand. I don't know. But anyway, I feel like I connected with this a lot more than the last time. Yeah. I was having a lot of emotions when I was reading this book, so I'm glad that I reread it. I think that it's an important book to read. I think John Green is a great author. I think that he writes in a way that is really approachable, both by teenagers and young adults and also by adults. And I think that's a really important skill to have, because a lot of the stuff that his characters in his stories go through are things that are universal and not just something that teenagers feel. It's really important and really amazing that his work is so approachable. So I really have a lot of time for John Green. So anyway, that is that read. So that means that I have now read almost all of the books for my Mental Health Athon TBR. So I've written down how many pages. So that brings me to 328 pages, which means that I've beaten my own record. I am quite a long way off the 3 on the podium, so I'm not going to even attempt to knock those guys off the podium. But that wasn't really what it was about. I feel like it was about beating my own score, which I definitely feel like I've done. I've got 2 hours left. Potentially 3 if I add the extra hour in, but I don't think I'm going to do that. I did intend to potentially read some more and possibly even try and finish The Reason I Jump, because I have got only about 25 pages left. But having read this mental health book, I'm not sure I want to read any more mental health stuff today. I'm going to move on now to some of the Starless Sea. And as I said before, I do need to read some more of this, because part of the reason why I'm finishing at 7:30 is because I'm chatting with my friend Alison, who I'm buddy reading this book with, and I have not finished the pages that we are supposed to be buddy reading. So I really want to do that. It also seems like it's going to be a really great escapism. I think it's quite strange so far, but I'm only like 18 pages in or something, so we'll see how we go. I'm going to sit down and read those 60 pages now, and I guess I'll just see how I go as to what I then decide to do. I will let you know when I get there. So that's my check-in for now, and I'll talk to you again soon. Hello again. So this is my final update for my 12-hour reading challenge. It is now 9 o'clock at night. I actually did finish my reading challenge at 7:30, but then I was chatting with my friend and having pizza for dinner, so didn't quite manage to come and film until just now. We actually only ended up reading 50 pages. Neither of us had finished doing our 75 pages at the point where we wanted to chat, so we just decided to make it 50. So that brings my total up to 358. No, sorry. 378. So definitely still not anywhere near the 3 people currently leading the scoreboard for the 12-hour reading challenge, but definitely significantly better than my original score. So originally I had 304 pages, now I have 378 pages, so I feel like I had quite an increase, which is fantastic. And yeah, it was a lot of fun and I really enjoyed my day of reading. I do kind of feel a little bit tired, and I definitely don't want to read anymore for this evening, so I'm probably going to go and put my pajamas on and curl up in front of the TV and watch some Elementary, because I've been rewatching that recently and really enjoying it again. So my reading stats. In the morning I read 25 pages of The Reason I Jump. I feel terrible, but I always have to look up how to say this person's name. Naoki Higashida. So I read that this morning and a little bit this afternoon as well. Most of my reading today was Turtles All the Way Down by John Green, so I read the entirety of this book today. I read 17 pages, which was the 2 chapters for Starsight, by Brandon Sanderson, which I'm reading with my friend Hayley from Hayley Reads. Her channel is linked below. And I read 50 pages of The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. That was the one that I was reading with my friend Alison. Yeah, so far I am really enjoying this book. I'm very intrigued to know what on earth is going on. I really like Erin Morgenstern's style of writing, and I really love her imagination. I think she is an incredible writer. I love the way she weaves story and she uses descriptions. I feel like she thinks in a very interesting and unique way, and I can't fathom how she comes up with some of the things she comes up with. I think it's amazing. Kind of hard to tell what I'm going to think of the story overall, but so far so good. So I'm up to, like I said, page 50. That was The Starless Sea, and that brings me to the close of my 12-hour reading challenge. So there we go. Thank you so much for watching. As usual, if you have any comments about any of the books that I was reading, thoughts about how many pages you have read in a 12-hour period, or think you might be interested in going and doing the challenge, again, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you liked this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you next time.